Hey folks, what's here? Welcome back to another Pokemon Masters video, and today we're going to go over Jigglypuff's Synchro, right? So Jigglypuff's Synchro is it's pretty interesting. You got a lot of really good stuff here. Like, I keep on hearing this a lot. I keep on hearing people say, oh, Jigglypuff's just another standard striker. I don't know, man. I don't know which other, standard striker has 377 base, attack, almost 700 HP, and has extra 50% damage on Good Nightmare, 50% damage on your Sync move on Rude Awakening, and, 4 Sync move buffs, 2 MGRs, 2 MGR3s on their 3-gauge Play Rough move. Like, I don't know what you guys talking about. And also self buffs on the passive, right? The passive has Mad Strength and Mind Swell, sleeps opponent on Sync move. Standard, I don't know, man. Like maybe at like 1 out of 5, but it's still like got some really interesting stuff at 1 out of 5 still. But anyways, let's get into that. Right. So starting out with 1 out of 5. Speaking of 1 out of 5, right? Synchro again, like as usual, you don't really have too many options. Basically, you just pick up everything that's not named Dazzling Gleam. Just pick up everything. Unless you don't have Syncorps, then maybe don't pick up everything. I don't know, just pick up Play Rough stuff. And get that special attack 10 as well. Even though Play Rough is physical, your Sync move special. Just get that extra, 10 special attack for your Sync move, I guess. Yeah, so there's that for Jigglypuff, right? 1 out of 5. Nothing too special. You got your Solac MP refreshes, both of them. Play Rough move gauge refresh, and then some power-ups for Play Rough, and then some stat buffs. Again, nothing much. Right, moving on to 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5, you got some really interesting stuff, actually. Rarely do I actually find, a lot of 2 out of 5 grids that are actually semi-interesting to build. I'm not saying it's better than the 3 out of 5 is obviously, much better, but, 2 out of 5 is pretty interesting because at 2 out of 5, what you could do is you could pick up all this stuff on Play Rough, right? And then you could come down here, also pick up Fast Track, too. And I'd probably personally pick up Solac MP Refresh as well, just because, Solac doesn't really give you much, right? So you'd be nice if you get an MP Refresh on that and give you some more buffs. Otherwise, again, it doesn't give you too much, right? Unless you're running some kind of perfect support combo, right? I mean, I guess at 2 out of 5, you don't really need to put the opponent asleep, so I guess you don't really have to worry too much about buffs, so maybe you don't want to go for that. Again, you probably want to go for that if you're doing Villa, right? But if you're not doing Villa, right? Pick up this attack instead, Rude Awakening over here, and then some other stuff. Attack +5 down here, and then, whatever other else stat that you want to hit. I see a lot of people talking about a Solac Master Healer. I think this is kind of pointless, this note. I mean, Master Healer 6 is really good, right? You're going to get, around 100% of your HP back. However, the condition is you have to be asleep. And you will put yourself to sleep, so I have to wait until opponent puts you to sleep, which is very rare because you're a striker. You don't generally want to get hit, even if the opponent does have hypnosis or whatever. Unless you're in co-op, you probably will never get put to sleep. So no point picking that up, right? So yeah, that's for a 2 out of 5 grid. At 3 out of 5 is where you get a lot of different builds that you could play around with. The first one probably is because you do get access to Good Nightmare 5. It's just kind of like a Good Nightmare 5 build with Play Rough. What I'd probably do over here, pick up these Play Rough power-ups, and then come over here, pick up Rude Awakening, and then go over here and pick up Good Nightmare, right? That leaves you at 1 more energy remaining. The reason I go over here instead of just coming over here, which you could still do this route instead, but then I'm just picking, which is much cheaper, but going this route just gives me, Rude Awakening 5 and a Sync move power-up, which obviously, in my opinion, is more valuable than kind of useless Dazzling Gleam power-ups. And I mean, well, it's just 1 more Dazzling Gleam power-up, right? And plus 10 HP. But you could definitely go for that as well. But if you do go for that, it's not like it's pointless. You got some other good stuff as well if you go for that. If you go for that, then you have enough energy to pick up, basically all these power-ups for Play Rough. Or if you don't have any accuracy buffers, you could pick up that plus 10 accuracy, right? And then you could, let's see, what's the best ideal way to do this? Pick up a +3 power and then pick up +5 attack over here. I think that's probably the best, most economical way of doing it, right? Obviously, if you want to pick up MGRs, you could do that as well, or MPRs, not MGRs, and then still pick up some solid, Play Rough stuff over here. although not too many power-ups. But again, depends on if you want the accuracy or not. Depends on your team comp. And as for some other stuff, I really wanted to like find a way to fit like fast track in there, but I really just can't. Again, I mean, you could definitely do it if you try, but it's just like I really don't want to give up the Good Nightmare 5 for that, unless you just don't want to run, you know, Serena or any. It doesn't have to be Serena, any other hypnosis slash, you know, sleep user. Right, and if you honestly, if you got a 3 out of 5 Jigglypuff, just run a sleep user, even if it's not Serena, even if it's, you know, Agatha, wrong, goes Elite Four. Even if it's Agatha, Ramos, Tech Victory Bell, just run them. It's an extra 50% on your damage, right? I mean, like a crit's on only, you know, 1.5, right? Although it calculates very, very differently. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's a really, really good damage boost. But again, if you don't want to do that, or if you just want to rely on Jigglypuff's own sleep, which you can, but like you can't get too many hits in, right? It's just not as reliable. But anyways, outside of that, you could also actually go a Dazzling Gleam build, which is actually not as bad as people would think. You know, right? If you like, honestly, if you pick up all the Dazzling Gleam power-ups, that puts your Dazzling Gleam, if you're 5 out of 5, right, if you max it out, that puts your Dazzling Gleam at 80 power. It's an AoE move, right? 2 gauges, 80 power, which is really, really good. And then you also have Dazzling Gleam Critical Strike 3, so 80 power, right? Times 1.3 puts you at 104 power for a 2 gauge move AoE, which is solid with a 1, and it doesn't have, you know, it's not like Steven or Kuzma. There's 2 of these, but it has 1 of these, which is still good. So it's still solid if you build like a Dazzling Gleam build, and you still got the Good Nightmare 50%, so like that, the 1.8, 144 damage, which is basically as much, you know, as hard as Steven's, or slightly harder than Lowland Sandslash's Icicle Crash, outside of Hail, because in Hail that's an extra 50%, and then, you know, that's just GG, right? Which is obviously just so much more powerful. But you know, again, outside of that, you could still do decent damage with Dazzling Gleam build. You probably want, you know, if you're going for it, right? Something like this. Pick those up. Dazzling Gleam, MGR. Yeah, something like that. Can we get Rude Awakening? I don't think we can, right? We could get 2 of these. That's nice. You know, extra power-ups for your sync move. Or if you want to pick up the special defense. How much is Puff's special attack? Yeah, this is a good special attack. This is really, really solid special attack. So, you know, something like that if you want to go for it. Or, you know, you Soul Act, MP Refresh, you can always go for that as well. Something like that, right? That you want to pick up for Jigglypuff. So Dazzling Gleam is still nice. Obviously, if you're just going for full damage, Play Rough just hits so much harder. But Dazzling Gleam is not a terrible option either. And also, if, you know, there's this other thing that you do have to consider, which is also another point in favor of going for a Dazzling Gleam build, which again, I personally don't recommend over Play Rough. But if you have a 3 out of 5 Sabrina, you get to run Sabrina. Like, that's you know, that's a huge, you know, point for running Dazzling Gleam over Play Rough, because Sabrina is just hands down just an incredible supporter, right, in the game. It just makes, you know, so many units. It's like Sabrina straight up just makes special strikers in this game in general better than physical strikers. Straight up, that's in general just makes all the physical or you know, special strikers just better than physical strikers. Unfortunately, just because Sabrina's that good, right? So you could do that. You could also do like some kind of sync nuke build with this. It's not, you know, it's not anything serious. It's just for funs. I mean, it could be serious if we, you know, if we found out that Latios is actually like weak to fairy in one of the stages, right? So, you know, you could do that. Rude Awakening, pick that up. Yeah, and then there you go. Voila, you got a decent amount of stuff there for a sync nuke, right? You got your you know, Disarming Voice power-ups, and then you probably would want to go for a move gauge refresh on probably Dazzling Gleam or Play Rough. I'd probably go with Play Rough anyways, but it depends on what team you're running, right? Your move gauge situation. If you're on heavy gauges, obviously Dazzling Gleam. If you're on, you know, lighter gauges, then Play Rough, right? So yeah, or you could we could pick up Fast Track if you're not running any speed support. Fast Track as well, but I'd probably go for the one that move gauge refreshes. It's just more reliable, right? So, yeah, anyways, that's it with this one, I guess. Just some builds for Jigglypuff. Again, really interesting unit. A lot of interesting builds that you could go for. Yeah, it's definitely not ordinary, as a lot of people say. I wouldn't say it's the best striker, right? But it's definitely something. Got a lot of interesting things that you could go for. But again, that's it with this one. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know guys think in the comments down below. Like and enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel for some more Poem Masters content. I'll see you guys in the next one.